I am Phreak. Here's Kobe. Here's Azael. Let's talk about what happened in LCS both today and yesterday. Any big thoughts first off about how the opening of the season went?
I mean, it's been pretty exciting. I think one of the most interesting things for me is just how much parity there seems to be in the league. A lot of the teams that were predicted to be at the top are at the bottom. Teams are, who are still at the bottom are kind of challenging ones at the top. So it seems to be pretty competitive.
And with best of ones, there is, especially at the beginning, going to be a lot of that, shuffling around. And it's going to take a while before we really see the sifting of the ones that are going to be playoff teams later on.
Yeah, plenty of turmoil. So interesting to note, of course, going to be the teams who did at the very, very best, big of which was going to be Team Liquid. Doublelift had words to say about his goals with Team Liquid this split.
One of my goals for this year is obviously to win NA, at least once. But the side quest, on the way, I just want to beat TSM. And hopefully I want to destroy the legacy of making finals every year, because that's annoying. And yeah, I already messaged Vincent and told him, hey, you better beat their bot lane too, because we better make them look bad if they replace this.
So, of course, let's talk about the fact Liquid off to a 2-0 start. Double successful so far in the side quest.
And
500 gold,
quest.
half a level gained up. Well, I mean, main quest is like, what, win NA at some point.
Yeah, so 2-0. There you go. Good start to the main quest,
than that. Everything's going great.
Step one of the quest complete, I guess. B-roll here, of course, looking at Liquid in their first game against TSM. Honestly, was not very close. Liquid had looked good pretty much throughout the weekend.
It's pretty interesting that the game against TSM was the smash and the one against Optic was actually a bit of a nail-biter there. I actually felt that Liquid should have lost to Optic given the comps and given the situation in the late game, double Infernal on Optic's side, but TL did execute at a higher level.
Yeah, they had a lot of, sort of creative plays to get them out of some very difficult situations, right? They even talked about how they were getting outscaled already and some mistakes early on cost them, but they were able to get back in through some vision plays. And when we had our couple of listen-ins that we did with the communications, it was as crisp as it looked on screen. So those two things seem to be coming together.
Yeah, I do think it's unreasonable to expect a zero-mistake season out of a team. So the fact that they come back from a bad place against Optic means that, hey, we clearly have the shot-calling pedigree, the calm-headedness. Move on to the rest of the 2-0 team, so I do want to keep us moving here. 100 Thieves off to a 2-0 start as well. They didn't have the hardest schedule, but still 2-0 starts great.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'd be very happy with this. This is a team that does have a massive amount of experience, so it's maybe a team you could expect to have a better start out the gate. You have Afromu, you have Meteos as well in the jungle, and these are guys who have been around just in NA for such a long time, and they kind of have the confidence to lead some of these other players.
Yeah, we saw a lot of the positives being really highlighted here for 100 Thieves early on in this week. You mentioned the in-game leadership there from Afromu. We also saw some of the performance from Someday where he was outplaying 2v1 scenarios. He is an absolute monster. So the individual players coming together, probably hasn't had the longest time with these guys. I think in one of their videos he talked about maybe 2 weeks or something they had to practice, but it does look like the game plan is definitely coming together for them.
Yeah, super solid.
Definitely so. I mean, I just think that the org, it seems like all the players are really happy to be there. It seems like their situation, their facilities are really good. So it's one of those things where it can start snowballing when you have a good coach, when you have good facilities, when you're happy with the team, like everything can really just start working very well for you.
Yeah, we'll see if they keep it at 100 so far throughout the season. Next up, though, Cloud9, another 2-0 start for them. They had their first match was very tough. They're against Counterlogic Gaming. Most people actually power rank CLG above them, so that's in some cases an upset win, but they played well kind of throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I thought this whole weekend was actually very good for Cloud9 because I had fairly conservative expectations for them starting out, considering how everyone thought they downgraded in the roster in the offseason. They had to offload Impact. He got this really good deal with Team Liquid, so they replaced him with Licorice. And nobody's going to have, a bunch of early confidence in this guy coming out and blasting people, but Licorice performed very well as far as an individual for me, especially for, this new guy coming into a very veteran team and a very big organization. In addition, Svenskeren, people had question marks around that, but he also seemed to be fitting in pretty well. And Jensen with the Zillion pick was able to save him a bunch of times, and it just seemed like this was a very positive early week for Cloud9, and surprised a lot of people that did have more conservative expectations.
Yeah, I mean, Svenskeren seems extremely happy. Licorice has been impressive. I think, to me, the big test for C9 is going to be next week because I do think still, while Licorice had a fantastic first week, he's going to have such hard opponents next week going up against Someday and Huni. Like, that tells you a lot, right? If he can hold up against those top laners, I think C9 can challenge for a championship. But if things fall apart, then the question marks start to kind of come back.
Especially when you look at what Liquor's been playing. Gangplank and Kled in his first 2 games. You heard in his interview, he said, yeah, my team had the faith in me to play what I thought was comfortable. He's like, I thought I might have been a Maokai one-trick coming into the split, but they're letting me play what I want. And yeah, if you play a Gangplank against Huni, you better be able to beat a Lucian because he bashed Flame in that matchup. So, I mean, it's things to watch out for, though.
It's kind of the C9 special, though. When you think about Worlds, they've always been a team that's been known to allow their players some flexibility. Contract's playing his stuff, Singe from Impact in the top lane, even in the NALCS finals, Smoothie bringing out a Gragas pocket pick for support. So this is something that they've always been pretty comfortable doing, and I'm glad to see they have that confidence in Licorice.
So finally, the 4th team to go 2-0, Echo Fox. Huni himself was on that one. He looked pretty much like Huni. Huge laning leads.
Exactly
couple of
like Huni.
Hyper-aggressive plays that got him killed in the mid game. But yeah, 2-0 start's pretty great for them.
Yeah, you already mentioned the Lucian top, but even though Lucian top and Huni, this is a North American LCS theme because of how it ended for Immortals, it is a very good counter pick into Gangplank, and he was able to put it on display, and everyone's like, oh my god, he's killing the barrel so fast with the double tap, and he's jumping on the back line, and it was just so cool to see that specific pick come together for him as something. And then he talked about, oh yeah, we'd been preparing this as a specific counter pick. That being said, though, I just always like the teams that are doing that extra step, and Cloud9 is including this with their Zillion preparation, countering the things that are so common that you can assume your opponents will pick those power picks, right? So the Zillion specifically into Malzahar for Cloud9, and then the Lucian there specifically, Huni preparing. I just think that those types of next level preparation are going to take you a long way in best of ones.
Yeah, exactly. Best of ones so big, and also with so many shifts in the meta, if you can have a leg up, if you've practiced this pick that they have not, like you can get a big boost in the standings in the early season, which can decide the playoffs later on.
You're only playing 4 games in any individual patch. So, I mean, you need 4 champ selects for 8.1, 4 champ selects for 8.2, and that's your season, right? And you just keep doing that and you innovate, and that interests me and excites me a lot as a spectator and as a player and everything else. So, hope to see more of that. Let's move on from teams who are hot on to teams who maybe didn't do quite so well. This is the topic of underperformers. Of course, we have 4 teams who went 0-2. Any of you want to start out with teams that stood out to you in that kind of bucket?
I mean, I think you have to look at TSM a little bit, right? People obviously had some very high expectations, myself included, for this roster. The sky's not falling yet. You have to give them some time, see if things are going to recover, but also wanted to give a lot of credit to their opponents, right? Liquid came out firing, completely dominated them the first game, and FlyQuest was the really surprising one to me because they just played at such a higher level, and this was not a game that was, just given to them for free. It was not an early snowball. They had to play a long macro game against TSM, and even from some pretty big blunders in late game, they were able to recover, and I thought that showed a lot of strength to their team.
Yeah, definitely for me. I mean, TSM overall, I think the biggest thing that stood out were the communication issues for me. But specifically, this game was the real shocker, right? Their first opponent was Team Liquid, and Team Liquid were expected to have a very strong start to the season. But FlyQuest here, Keen was in for Fly as far as the mid lane, and he performed, extremely well for himself. Plus, in addition, they've got these rookies, the Immortals rookies, basically, right? The guys that did well.
And Stunt.
Anda and Stunt. And I really thought that the Zac play from Anda on the front line, being able to use Zac Ultimate to get the Tom Kenshin, even after he saves people, like there are a lot of things that they did well, even though there were mistakes. And I think it bodes well for this team that the other players, in addition to Flame and Wild Turtle, who are looking at for the big carries of this team, are able to perform, especially when they do have Keen subbing in from the Academy roster.
Yeah, I mean, the ceiling goes way up if those guys are going to be consistent, right? And even in the loss, I thought they played pretty well. Anda in particular, I thought he did track the opponent junglers very well in their first game in the loss, and in the Zac game was fantastic. So, a lot of the rookies have been having some very strong showings.
I think it's interesting. We kind of jumped on TSM and move over to the happier story of a pretty good start so far for FlyQuest. I actually want to start then with another happy story. I was pleasantly surprised by Optic. Yes, they went 0-2. Yes, I would expect them to be 8th, 9th, or 10th coming into the split, but they had a close set of 0-2 games, right? They actually fought their opponents pretty closely, which for a 0-2 I thought was actually pretty happy in a way, even though I'm sure they're not happy about being 0-2 as a team.
I mean, they were pretty vocal on Twitter that, despite the fact that they lost, they were happy with their team. They were proud of the way that they played because, there are those expectations. And I got to talk to Zabatine today, and he talked a lot about the mentality of their team, the mentality of their players, and how they recruited for that. Guys who are hard workers, guys who are not blaming others, and who are open and willing to give criticism. So I thought that made a lot of sense. And you can see that a lot of these things were working for them in the games. I mean, they were one team fight away from beating Team Liquid, and they failed to kind of execute on that. But really, you give that team fight to them 10 times, they probably win it like at least 7 or 8.
Yeah.
They definitely had some difficult opponents, coming right out of the gate, and they also always keep citing, we are the ones that are going to work harder. They have very high expectations for the ground that they're going to gain over the split because of the amount of work that all of them are willing to put in. So I think that's going to be a super interesting team to keep track of and watch.
Yeah.
Because as you said already, even in their losses, they made it close and they looked like they were doing a lot of positive things.
Yeah, it does look like the players are on form. I'm super keen on AO right now, who looks to be back to that spring split MVP shape from the previous year, so I think he'll do pretty well. And then one other thing I want to bring up, though, as far as 0-2 teams, Counterlogic Gaming, I think a shock of a 0-2. Jat had them power ranked number 1 on the dive. You both had them at number 3. Maybe that's, again, over the course of the split. Well, yeah, I mean, but, okay, maybe that was a prediction of over the course of the split, maybe not week 1, but still 0-2 for a top 3 power rank. That is a shock.
It is a shock, certainly. I mean, for all of us, right? We all thought that they were going to come out of the gate pretty strong. It felt like both mentality-wise and skill-wise, the 2 new guys that they got should fit in with their roster. But one of the things that really did stand out to me, I mean, they did have some really positive early games. I think their pre-planning is still there. I think that the early pathing from Rainover was really good. But I was pretty disappointed in how Stixxay played this week. I think that both games, late game mistakes cost them heavily. In the Caitlyn game today, kind of stepping forward, getting Malzahar ulted is this fateful team fight. Yesterday against C9, getting hit by 2 Sejuani ults, team fight after team fight by Svenskeren really decided that game for me. So I think that he needs to play at a very high level, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on both Biofrost and Stixxay now that they're kind of separated from their, more veteran, more famous partners. So they really do need to rise to the occasion right now if CLG is going to be a good team.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And they've also talked a lot about this kind of communication network that they're building with the team. And they put out a video with Huhi where he was talking about, being a big voice as well. So this is going to be another one of those teams that's interesting to track, how they progress through this season.
Yeah.
Because we do feel like they have, oh God, I can't say the potential word.
Kobe?
I can't say the potential.
You have faith in their potential, Kobe?
But they definitely have
Thoughts?
room to grow, let's say.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, honestly, I think some key individual mistakes, and again, those are going to shine in best of ones as far as being, very detrimental. And the AD carry position is definitely one that's shown up this week.
All right, well, one final thing to talk about then. Next week, matches coming up again, 10 more games of NA/LCS, and I know there's some really important ones coming in, especially now that we've seen a couple games out of these squads. What coming up here is a Saturday schedule, of course, on your screen. And which one of these seem like the most exciting to you?
For me, immediately, Cloud9 versus Echo Fox. I'm very excited. Both these teams are at 2-0, and because a lot of my questions for C9 coming into the season were about Licorice, well, if you can do really well against who I consider to be the best top laner in the league, guess what? You're pretty damn good, and C9 is probably going to go far. So
I got a question for you. Before I give my answer here, Azael, are you ready to invest at least a little bit test currency here on Echo Fox and see if they continue to rise? Because this is one of the teams where we're like, oh my God, they have so many good players that have bad reputations as far as team play goes, and interpersonal, relationships go. Now they've come out very strong.
Yep.
Where's my question? Are you going to buy in on this
I'm buying
Echo Fox cryptocurrency?
So here's my thought process. If I want to see how they do the week after they have a bad week. And if this team can have an 0-2 week, and then
so you're saying they will have a bad week?
Yes, eventually, I believe that they will have a bad week, right? And I think that
Echo Fox, quote me.
If this team, okay, yeah, I'll quote you on that. If this team has like an 0-2 week and then can bounce back and look strong and not look mentally shaken, that's when I'm going to be all in on this team. That's when I really am going to start to have some.
Then
faith.
it's too late to buy the currency, bro. It's already, then everyone's going to be buying.
I'm a conservative investor, Kobe.
Right, you are not a venture capitalist. All right, Kobe, how about you?
You're not going to be making your mansion money then. I'll be over here. I'll invest right now.
You want to fund 15 cents a piece for Echo Fox?
I'll go in right now, and then when they hit it big, then I'll be driving around in a yacht. You can come on the yacht.
All right, I can join you on the yacht. That sounds great. Trick2G in the house. We're gonna live on a boat for a while. It's gonna be amazing. A match I'm actually excited about, weirdly enough, is 2-0-2 teams, TSM versus Optic. Because TSM come in super hyped. Unfortunate 0-2 for them. Optic come in super under sort of hyped, I guess. 0-2, but looked pretty good. Optic was better looking their 0-2, arguably, than TSM. This is actually a closer match I think people give it credit for.
And it's a pretty scary match for TSM.
Yeah, it is.
As far as, I mean, the fans are so supportive when they're doing well, but I think TSM fans can be pretty brutal on the team when they're doing poorly. And if you lose to Optic, who's another O2 team, after an already rough start, oof, I think that's going to be a tough week for TSM.
Yeah, and I think that the kind of team atmosphere in Optic, they feel like they are pretty resilient still. And since they didn't have super high expectations, their team atmosphere will be concentrated around improvement and work, and they keep on talking about, you know, how much hard work they want to put in. Whereas TSM, because the brand is so big, I know that they have had, you know, issues at times where, like, when they have defeats like that, it is a lot of pressure on players. And since Mike Young is, you know, very new to that organization, when he was on Phoenix One, there wasn't much pressure, right? And so if he did well, then he got, you know, a bunch of praise. But now he's on TSM, so wondering, you know, how are they going to deal with, you know,
even Svenskeren talking about like the juxtaposition, right? Yeah. About how much more relaxed it was on C9, how stressful it was, even in practice, he was saying, for TSM. So this is something that those players have to deal with, and it comes with being on, you know, the most popular org in the league. You know, there's give and take with everything, right? You have such high expectations.
That was going to be a fun one there. Stay tuned. NALCS comes back in 6 days. It's going to be amazing. That's going to do it for us for NALCS tonight. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
The new Team Liquid bot lane, who